Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? My name is Candy, also known as Kawaii Stars, and today we are doing another Pokemon Rip and Draw. So it has been quite a while since I've streamed. Um, I was preparing for events and creating new product artwork, so I had to take a little bit of a break from streaming, but hopefully we can get back on track for a little bit. So today we are opening a pack of Rebel Clash. I only have one of these, and I randomly picked it up at a card show I went to several weeks ago, and I thought it'd be cool to open because it's a little bit of an older pack, and I'll probably get to see some cards that I've never had before. So without further ado, let's get started. So, like I said, I bought this from a card show, so it was above MSRP. Believe I paid $10 for this pack. I always wonder about buying single packs from like vendors and stuff. Like, do they do that thing where like they weigh it so they know if it's worth for them to keep it or not? I have no idea. Alright, so we're starting off with a Squovet, Snover. Oh, the cards are so cute. Natu, Trubbish, Pidove, Impidimp. Ooh, this one's pretty. Hatterene. Oh, I guess that was it. No, wait, there's an energy, a Bearware, Sand, and a Trainer. That was kind of like in a weird order. They're not usually like that. Was this like repacked or something? Seems a little suspicious that the cards were not in the right order. Right? Normally the energy's not like there. And then this normally would have been the last card you saw, right? Very strange. Anyways, let's go ahead and pick what we want to draw from today. Let's see. Snover, Squoit, Bearware. See, I really like the Hatterene card though. Sometimes the hardest thing is trying to figure out what I want to draw. Okay, so I'm thinking between Natu, Snover, and Squovet. Although Beware could be kind of cute. Decisions. You know what? I do kind of want to do Natu, so let's do Natu. I'm gonna go ahead and slip it into sleeve so I don't accidentally get paint on it, because anyone who paints knows that it just gets everywhere. Okay. So I'm also trying something new this stream. Hopefully it doesn't get me in trouble, but I found a stream that's supposed to be royalty-free music for Twitch and YouTube streams, so I have it very low in the background, and I'm mostly testing to see if I'm going to get flagged or not for playing it, so we shall see. Oh, hi, Iman Khan. How you doing? Today we are gonna draw Natu. We opened a Rebel Clash pack, and these are the cards that we pulled. And I decided to draw Natu from it. They were suspiciously packed, like, so I don't know if this was a repack or whatnot, but for our purposes of drawing a card, it'll be fine. So how are you doing? How are you doing, Iman Khan? Okay, so we are going to start with a little circle. I don't know if my sketch is going to show up because I sketch pretty lightly. So bear with me until I get the sketch done, and then I'll start outlining it and you'll start to be able to see it a little bit better. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know, how do you guys feel about buying single packs from vendors? Do you always trust it? Because like that one really seemed like it was a repack. And right before I opened it, I was just talking about like how I wonder if they weigh their individual packs to see if it has something good in it or not. And then if they don't think it does, and they sell it, or do you get like do they give you a fair chance to open it and find something? I'm always iffy about that when it doesn't come from like, you know, straight from the box store or something where you don't think they would have done that. But for my purposes, you know, I know I'm not going to pull anything crazy. This was for the love of drawing and collecting, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I am using a erasable Crayola pencil so that I can erase the pencil marks. Normally I'm using a different colored pencil, but I couldn't find my pencil, so we're trying this. Now, one thing I do notice is it's a little bit waxier than the normal pencil I use. I usually use like a Prismacolor pencil. So I wonder if that will affect the painting or not. We're about to find out. This one should be fairly easy to draw. I mean, there's not much to Natu. Natu's a ball. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. Next week is 4th of July week, which means it's a shorter work week for me. And then, so I'm gonna actually be spending the extended weekend next week preparing for the next show I'm gonna be at, which is gonna be the Little Kauai Market in Orlando, Florida. And it's a small Kauai market that's also attached to a card show. So I thought it'd be a fun little event, and it'd give me an excuse to go to Orlando for the weekend. So if you are in the Orlando area, go ahead and check out that event. They post a lot on Instagram, and they're doing vendor highlights, so you'll see which artists will be there. Do I want to draw the branch, or do I want Natu just like floating in the air? Let's go just draw a branch. This will be fun. Alright. I don't know if you can see it. This is the sketch. Alright, so now let's go ahead and pick out our markers. And the ones I'm using today are the acrylic macaron markers. So we need greens. Let's go ahead and go with this one. And we need yellows. My yellow markers are still alive because I keep using them up. That's the only thing I don't like about these sets, is I can't buy the individual marker I need. So like I have multiple sets just because I need more of one color, and it's the only way I can get it. So let's use this. And when I'm doing these particular drawings, I try to limit it to just this set of markers. So I usually sub things that are like black for the darkest color in the set, which is a dark blue. And I will also need a red. So let's go with this pink for the red. What do we want to use for the branch? Maybe orange for the branch. And then what do we want for the background? Let's do purple for the background. Alright, so now we got our colors. Let's get started. So usually I like to do the background first. And as I've mentioned in previous streams, the Shikishi boards have very thin paper on them. So you don't want to get it too wet in the beginning, because the paper will kind of pill up and everything. So I try to be very gentle with this first layer. And the thing that actually uses up the markers the most is that they are like not super opaque. They're semi-translucent, so it takes many layers to get like a very vibrant solid layer. So depending on how complicated the piece is or how big it is, I could go through an entire marker. Now, I will say these particular ones do actually hold quite a bit of ink compared to some of the other ones that I've used. So I do like that. And then for anyone who's also attending the market, I'll be bringing these drawings with me. So if you would like to purchase one of them, you can purchase them at the booth. But I also post them online at our shop, alexandcandy.com. So if you like any of the drawings that I do here, they usually go up in the shop maybe within 24 hours of finishing the stream. Oh, this marker looks like it's dying. I might need to grab a different one. Yep. Okay, so this one was 744. Do I have another one? I actually have two boxes here that I'm swapping between because like I've run out of some of the markers are already dying. So let's see. And I even have a third box that I haven't opened yet because I don't know how much longer some of these other ones are going to last. That's why I was like, I really wish I could just buy the marker color I need. Because like at some point I'm going to end up with like 10 of one marker that I never use. So another thing I'm also trying to do is be more mindful of the chat, because I'm doing a dual stream for Twitch and YouTube. That last stream I was chatting with the streamers from YouTube, but I didn't realize that a raid had happened on Twitch, because I guess my notifications weren't going off properly, and so I totally missed it, and I felt so bad. I didn't notice it until I was watching the playback. So hopefully I am able to keep better track. I figured out on Streamlabs there's actually a way to view the multi-stream chat, so that's what I have up on the monitor next to me. Okay, so we've roughly done the first layer. Let's go and move on to some green. And this is usually how I color them in. I'll go through and each color and do a layer of it until it's solid enough. Now, it usually takes about until maybe the third layer before the paint layers have built up enough that I don't have to worry about the paper being too thin. Okay, now the red. So instead of straight red, I'm using a pink. So the fun thing about using this one set of markers as a limited palette is it makes like a really cool pastel variant of this Pokemon, and I don't even have to really think too hard about the colors. I think I'm gonna have to grab a white because this set doesn't actually have a white in it, but that is one of the markers that you can actually buy in bulk on its own, is white and black. Oh, this yellow looks like it's also dying. And occasionally I will grab markers from a different set that are outside of the Macaron set if I need something for like an outline. But I do try to keep it within that same like pastel color palette. So we are currently in the ugly phase, so hang on with me as we get through the ugly phase. There's always that point in art piece where you're like, you just kind of have to trust the process. Hey Asakura, how are you doing today? Today we ripped open a pack of Rebel Clash and we pulled a Natu, and that is what we're drawing today. I think eventually I will have opened enough packs of Pokemon cards where I could actually make a deck. I don't really have anyone to play with in particular, but I would like to have like a deck of Pokemon, so like just in case the occasion arises that I do need to play, I'm ready. I do play the mobile game version, the Pokemon TCG. I enjoy playing that. Oh, round board. I've always used Natu instead of Hoot Hoot and Silver. Ah, okay. So we chose this for the branch. I was like, what do I have an orange for? All of these markers are dying. It's okay. I bought a brand new box that I haven't opened yet, so we might need to crack that open. A lot of these markers are also dying because I've been painting binders, which take up a lot of ink. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a white marker. Alright, we're back. We got the white marker. So yeah, this set doesn't have a white, I don't think, or if it did have a white, no, I think it was just a, yeah, so it's white. 706 is actually a light blue. It's this one, so it's not really white. So that's why I ended up buying a separate actual white. Okay, and now we're going to layer 2. Did I say both of these were dead? Let's see. Nope, this one's still got some juice in it. Yeah, white goes fast. Yeah, well, at least the white markers I can buy in bulk. Or not bulk, but like I can buy like a whole pack of the white markers. These other colors, on the other hand, I have to buy the whole pack of markers. Which I guess at some point, if I have too much of one marker, I'll just need to think of a Pokemon that uses those specific colors or something. I don't know. But yeah, I really like the colors of these, and the reason I use the markers is because it's just so much easier, like as far as like mess and cleanup. Because I do have a lot of like traditional paints, but like I have to get out my palette and then the water jar, and then it's a lot more of a commitment to decide to paint. Yeah. Whereas like the markers, if I feel like doing some painting, then I just take out the markers and go at it. But also, I do really like these brush tips. So before I got into these paint markers, I did have Posca markers that I used, but they weren't these brush tips. Now I know since then Posca has come out with brush tip markers, but they don't have the same variety of colors that these other like random brands have. And this is like not, I don't really think this is like a fancy brand or anything. I just found this off of Amazon. But I think like the fancier brands are like Ohuhu or something. Alright, I'm just gonna open this pack because I think those purples are both on their way out. This is my third pack of these markers. I need to start marking the ones that are older, but I mean, it does have like this on the side, so I think you should be able to tell how much ink is left in there. So like you can, I don't know if it's showing up on the camera. So these two that are pretty much empty are white, and then this one has a little bit of stuff in it. It needs to be shaken up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can really tell. I should start marking the ones that I've used up with like a sticker or something. Oh yeah, that's a lot more ink. Yeah, those markers were on their last leg. The amount of time is grab a marker to only have them bone dry is nuts. Yeah. Yeah, these markers, I think, because I use quite a bit of ink to build them up so that, you know, the final piece is a lot more vibrant. I think one marker probably can do like 2.5 of these paintings before it dies, and then I have to get a new one. Because like I said, I do like 5, sometimes 6 layers, because the lighter the color is, the more layers I have to do, especially if I messed up and I covered something up so that I could repaint it, because that is the beauty of acrylic markers and acrylic paints in general, is if you mess up, you can just cover it up and fix it. So you don't have undo when you're painting in real life with traditional materials, but with acrylic you can cover up your mistakes pretty easily. I think that's one of the things that is funny when I switch back and forth between traditional and digital. Sometimes I'll be like looking for an undo button and I'm like, no, there's no undo. But that is one of the nice things though about practicing traditionally, is that because you don't have an undo button, you have to be more intentional with your lines. So you sort of like build more confidence in your stroke, which when you translate it back to working digitally, I feel like it might make you faster because you don't have to undo so much because you're more certain with the line that you drew. But there is something to be said about like the roughness of a traditional painting. I know there's a lot of brushes that you can use now with Procreate that mimic real materials, which is really cool, but they just kind of happen naturally when you're working traditionally. Oh, this marker's about to die too. Trying to squeeze every last bit of usefulness out of these markers. So right now we are on the second layer. the other thing too is eventually I use the markers enough where the brush tip is not as sharp as it used to be, so sometimes it does require grabbing a newer marker where the brush tip is still sharp. Especially if I'm trying to use it for line work, which I usually start doing around the maybe third or fourth layer. This one's dead. Okay. What about this one? Also dead. Okay. We're gonna have to grab a yellow from the new pack. What marker was that? That was 733. Ah! I just dropped all my markers. It's okay. I'll pick those up later. Now the other thing too is you can see my pencil marks underneath, so that is also why I do quite a few layers. But if you wanted to intentionally leave your pencil lines visible, like for a visual texture kind of thing, then yeah, they will definitely show through the markers. But that's not usually my intention, so I just keep doing multiple layers till the pencil is completely covered up. And I could go back and, before I had started painting, if I had erased more of the lines, then there'd be less to cover up, but I'm lazy. This marker's about to die too. Okay. What's this one? 649. Sorry, I'm gonna take a second to pick up all the markers that fell on the floor. I think I threw away the 649 from this set already, so I need to also pull that from the new set. Okay, so we have a new 649. Okay, now we are on to a third layer. There is something really relaxing about doing these though, because they are fairly simple, so it's low pressure. It's almost like doing one of those, what do you call them? Those cozy comfort coloring books. It's looking great. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Asakura. Yeah, the only difference is you have to draw the lines yourself to color that you're going to color in, but I find it relaxing in that same way. Yeah, so we're starting to build a pretty solid layer, so after this is when I'm probably going to add the line work. The only thing I'm not sure is what I want to use for the lines. If I want to use this same color, or if I want to pick something darker from a different set. I think I am going to go with this, and then if it doesn't work out, then I'll go grab a darker color. And If you guys are doing projects with these markers, I recommend this size of canvas or paper. It's a good enough size where it's not too difficult to color things in with the markers, as in the details being too small, unless you drew something really small. But it's also not so big that you would run out of your markers before you finish the piece. Assuming that, you started from a relatively full marker. I had started this piece with markers that were already on their way out, so that's why I was pulling markers from a new box. And in case anyone was wondering, I purchased some markers from Amazon, and I think this macaron set is like 20 something dollars. Can't remember exactly if it was like 22, something like that. So it's not the most expensive marker set, but it's also not the cheapest. Which makes me sad when I have to order another one because I ran out of one specific marker. Like, I think the colors that... Wait, I feel like this shape is weird. Yeah, why did I do that? That is not the shape in the picture. It's more like this. Okay, we're gonna have to correct that once that dries a little bit. I don't know what I was thinking. Sometimes I don't realize what I'm coloring in if I'm not paying attention until, like, I'm halfway through and then I have to go back and correct it. And I think sometimes part of it is because, I'm streaming, so I, like, distract myself. And I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing as much. Okay, so this one is actually more like this shape. There we go. Yeah, I dropped the marker again. Was that one I needed? Okay. So I actually filmed from a very small corner of my desk, so that's why I keep dropping things. Now I am painting pretty, like, solid and separate with the markers, but I have seen some people, like, kind of blend and smear colors together when they're still wet. But I like to do more of like a color blocking situation. Oh, you know what? I forgot his toenails. He's got, like, little toenails. Yeah. I kind of simplified his feet a little bit, but I should add in his toenails. This one was kind of dry. This one also dry. No, this one's good. Yeah, I think after I finish all the colors on this layer, we're gonna do the outline. I mean, it looks fine without an outline. I just personally like having the outline because I feel like it makes it pop more. Alright. So let's go ahead and do the outline. Which one of these is sharper? That one's... or this one. This one's inkier. Okay. Now is when I have to pretend I have a steady hand. So one of the ways to easily draw a circle is to turn your canvas into whatever direction is most comfortable for you to, oops, is this dry? To naturally do this. That way you're not fighting the direction. So even if you're drawing digitally, you can rotate the canvas. So don't stop yourself from rotating it. Yeah, whether you're in Illustrator, Procreate, or Photoshop, you should be able to rotate the canvas as you work. Now the trick is not to smear any of the lines while they're still wet. And because this marker tip is kind of fat, I'm just barely touching the paper so that the line won't be too thick. I may thicken up some of the lines later on, but for now I'm just kind of like barely outlining it so I can see what I want to do. Because I do like to play with a little bit of a thick and thin. Just make sure I don't have paint on my hand. I feel like it kind of gives it a less flat look and more character when you play with the thickness of your lines. Now, when I am doing line work, I do tend to not talk as much because I'm trying to focus. I feel like that is one of the challenging things to draw while streaming, is to maintain focus when you need it. Came out a little thicker than I intended to. I think the ink is pooling. That is sometimes it happens, is like too much ink comes out. And you can't quite get that thin line. So what I'll do is I'll go back and paint over it. Yeah, I feel like it's wet. Yeah, too much ink is coming out. So the thing is, I don't know how to control it sometimes. Like squeezing the pen too hard. So the lines are roughly drawn in. I feel like I want to add something up here. But what? I don't know yet. Okay. Let's go in with our fourth layer of paint. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's not quite opaque enough for me, so you can kind of see the paper still through some of it, so that's why I'm continuing to do additional layers. Good morning, Addictive Alexis. How are you doing today? Today we are drawing a Natu. We pulled from a Rebel Clash pack that may or may not have been a resealed pack. Because when I pulled out the cards, they were in a weird order, but for the purposes of this video, it's fine. But for someone who was a little bit more serious about cards than I am, I would feel really bad if someone else had opened that. And we are on our fourth layer of paint, so we are getting pretty opaque. Usually you don't really need to go beyond 4 layers of paint unless you're trying to like really clean up some lines. So after this fourth layer of paint on the background, I might add some sort of like fun elements to fill up the negative space. It's usually like in this stage where it's just all about like tightening it up and adding details. So it's no longer like major changes, but like little subtle ones. And this is also usually a test of patience and attention span for artists. Because some artists, like, they're able to just lock in and keep working until the job is done. But like, and sometimes I can be like that too. But a lot of the times, like, the end part is when I start getting bored of a piece and I just want it to be over. So I'm not as careful as I should be sometimes. Alright. There's like a clump of paint there that's making like a weird bump. So yellow is one of the lighter colors, and it is one of the ones that sometimes takes more than 4 layers to really get nice and opaque. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is like some swirlies up here. And I am just going to freehand it. It will take several layers to get it to be bright enough on top of the purple, but and if I don't like it, I'll just cover it up. But I think we're gonna be okay. Now, Natu is a psychic Pokemon, so I think these little swirls kind of go with the right theme. Okay, so I know they're not super visible, but after I go over those swirls 4 or 5 times, it'll show up a little bit better. So, because I'm always afraid that I'm gonna be in the middle of a project and I'll run out of the marker I need, I always order another set of markers after I've opened the current set, so that since I've opened my backup marker set already, I'll have to order a new set later today. I haven't seen it in the store, so I usually just order it off Amazon. Like, sometimes you want to buy stuff in person at your local art store, but they just don't got what you're looking for. But I would say I think these paint markers are starting to become a popular choice of coloring material. So maybe over time we'll start to see more options of them in the store. Because before it was just, Poscas that you could find in the store, but I feel like you're starting to see more of these acrylic paint markers in the store. I feel like they can be more forgiving than other mediums like alcohol markers, because, like I said, they behave just like normal acrylic paint. You can cover things up. Whereas, like, for me, alcohol markers are kind of like working with watercolor, where you kind of have to plan what you're doing and you can't cover it up too much if you messed up. Like, if you're doing like something with like a skin tone on a person, once you go dark, you can't go back lighter. I mean, there is a method where you could use a colorless blender and lift some of the color, but at that point it's just better to restart. And I am still learning how to use alcohol markers effectively, so maybe I'll do a different stream where I practice with those. But right now I have been doing the streams using these paint markers just because I'm really comfortable with them, and if I mess up on stream I always can cover it back up. Okay, let's go ahead and do a second layer on these swirlies. So these usually take me anywhere from an hour to a couple hours. Depends if I messed up and I have to take extra time to fix something, because there is a little bit of waiting involved, because you have to wait for the paint to dry and then cover it up with enough layers so you can't see it anymore. Sometimes what also helps is if you do a layer of white. So I might actually do that on these and do a layer of white to kind of help those white circles pop. let's do that. And then we're going to go back over this with the yellow, and it should pop more. So after I finish this, I've actually got another sticker sheet I need to make. I haven't been making a lot of new products for the shop in a long time because, for one, I was worried about the whole tariff situation. I didn't want to place an order for something and then not be sure how much I'm going to have to pay to get my item. But the other thing is, I've been sitting on products and that haven't sold, so my money was tied up in them, and then I decided that because I want to make new stuff, I just need to get rid of the old stuff, even if I have to sell it at really low price. So I started slowly going through things in the shop and putting them on clearance. So there is a clearance section on the shop for things I'm trying to clear out, just so I can have some of the funds back so I can make new things. I would say, because I'm still very small shop that with a small following, that I don't sell out of my products very often, and these days I'm not doing as many in-person events, so it takes me a little bit longer to run through inventory. So in the beginning, I'd also made the mistake of ordering too much. So sometimes you don't really have a choice. If you're ordering something, there's a minimum quantity. So a lot of the times, minimum quantities range on the low end from 25 to 50, but a lot of times quantities could be minimum of 100 and up. And so I wasn't really aware of doing group orders and stuff back then, so I would order a lot of stuff on my own, which would result in very high minimum quantities. So those are pretty much the products that I still have a lot of. And like I said, if you're someone who does a lot of events or has a lot of followers that purchase things, it's not a problem. But when you're not, you just end up sitting on products. So all of your money is tied up in that inventory and you can't make new things. But there are some things that are fairly low cost that I can make on my own, the handmade stickers. I can do that on my own. But I do like having the stickers professionally made, just because they're more durable. If people want to put them on water bottles and stuff. Otherwise, you have to they can go in a water bottle, but you have to be careful when you hand wash them. So I think that's, except for maybe limited releases or last minute stuff, I'm gonna slowly start moving toward outsourced stickers so that they just are more durable and quality. So see how the yellows kind of show up more because I went back and added a bit of white and then painted over it. There we go. And now I want to play a little bit with some of the line thickness. I think I want the outer line of our little borb a little thicker. Okay, let me just wait a second because I feel like those white dots are going to be wet and I'm going to end up smearing it. So the thing I keep scratching at here is, I don't know if it's going to show up, if the camera will focus, but there's like a thick clump of paint there that like is ruining the smoothness, and I keep picking at it. Oh, there we go, it finally came off. One thing I generally do like about the paint markers though is that they are relatively flat. So sometimes I do want like that raised texture, but like for example, if I'm painting a TCG binder, having a lot of that raised texture kind of is not good, because even though you spray like a fixative so to protect the paint, the more it's raised up, the more it could be like knocked and like, you know, either get dirty or eventually peel off. So I try to make sure the paint is relatively flat. But for stuff like this, it doesn't really matter, other than it just bothers me that it's sticking up. Okay, so we are going to go a little thicker on this outline. I'm also going to try to smooth out the line a little bit. I have to fill in this pink a little bit. The blue is still showing through. One thing I always forget to do is leave like strategically open gaps for aesthetics in the line work, but I always end up like making it a solid line. I forget, because I do like how those usually look. Okay, wait a second and let that dry because that was a little thick. Give that a second to dry. And I think I need to do a little cleanup work around the eyes too. Now, for some of these small details, it may be worth it to have a small gel pen, like because white gel pens are usually useful for adding small details. Okay, so these are the lighter colors that need like sometimes almost 10 layers before they are fully opaque. Especially if I was covering some mistake up, like on here. And one thing to note is like A lot of these colors dry a lot darker than when you first put them down. So by waiting in between layers, you kind of get to see how dark it actually gets. I'm trying to fix how chunky the lines got around where the feet were. Oops, wrong one. Gosh, this marker is kind of scaring me. It's so inky. Like, I'm afraid it's about that point where it's gonna like do an ink blob. So I'm gonna stand this up this way to make the ink flow back a little bit. Have you ever done that where you're drawing with a marker and it's just like it like splats out like a whole bunch of ink and then you got like a big blob? So usually you can suck up most of that paint if you have a paper towel nearby, but you still have to like go back and fix it. So being very careful with that marker. Because I need it to do a thin line, but it's being so inky. Okay, that seemed to work. Oh, pardon me. Got a little bit of an itch in my throat. I was trying to mute the mic before I coughed, but I think I might have startled some of you because I couldn't mute it fast enough. That's the thing sometimes when I'm streaming and talking a lot, like, I have to remember to drink enough water so I don't get a dry throat and, like, just start coughing. I think we're pretty close to done. I'm just playing a little bit with the line weight on certain areas. I feel like I want to do some on the peak. I feel like the way you treat the line work on a piece can control the character of how it ends as a final piece. Because, like, when you have no lines, then it's, like, a lot softer. When you add lines, it does make it pop and bring it forward more. But, you know, whether you have line breaks, or you make it solid, or you do thick and thin, it does, you know, change the feel of the same drawing. That could be something interesting to do, actually, as an experiment. Maybe I'll do that one of the streams. Is I'll draw the same thing 4 times, and then I'll do the line work differently, so we can all see together how it looks different depending on how you treat the line weight. Just trying to make these little yellow swirlies pop out just a little bit more. And then we'll do our little signature in the corner. People have lots of different feelings about signing their work. Some people only sign their artwork on the back. Some people sign it on the front, like I just did. And some people don't sign it at all, which I don't think you should never sign your work, especially if it's an original. But the reason why I started signing it on the front is just because when I take pictures of things for social media, it acts as a little bit of a watermark. I know it could technically still be erased if someone really wanted to, but in videos and stuff, at least people can see that it's mine. Like, I don't really write out my whole handle. It's an abbreviation. I write K-Star for Kawaii Stars, but I don't know. It makes me feel better. Because, like, there's not really much ways you can protect yourself as an artist online with AI and having to grab, and, you know, the ability for anyone to grab your work. But, I mean, what can you do? You won't be able to advertise your work if you don't show your work. And, like, there's people said that you can put, like, a digital filter over it. I forgot what it was called to protect it, but I don't know. I felt like if someone really wanted to steal your work, they would. For people who have bigger followings, they're more likely to catch it when someone's work is stolen, and they'll report it to the artist. Now, whether the artist can actually do anything about it, because most artists do not have a team of lawyers, is different. But oh, so the other interesting thing speaking of copyrights, is a lot of TCG binder artists that I follow have been having their accounts automatically shut down on Instagram for, I guess, sharing Pokemon content. And they've been making, what do you call it? Backup accounts so that they can continue posting while trying to reclaim their original accounts. Because I think the first one that I saw happened to was Fufu Collects, which one is one of the more well-known Pokemon binder artists. I think she's probably one of the original ones, honestly. And yeah, she was like celebrating getting like 75,000 followers or something. And then like within days, like Instagram had like sent her a warning that they were suspending her account. She was sharing Pokemon stuff. So, am I gonna get in trouble for drawing this little Natu? I have no idea. But I do, like, I do post some of the Pokemon stuff on my main account, but, like, even before all this, like, shenanigans started happening with, Instagram deactivating Pokemon artist art, fan art, I mean, I had separated my Pokemon stuff into a different Instagram account called, K-Star Pokeart, and the main reason I had done that was I kind of wanted to keep like the Pokemon fan art stuff in a separate, more like cohesive account, whereas like my main account shows like more of the variety of stuff I do. I don't know. I just like to make like separate curations of different things I do sometimes. So that was the main reason I'd done it. But now I'm like afraid to post anything Pokemon related on my main account because I would not want to get that suspended. So it's almost like scary to post any kind of fan art for Pokemon. I don't know. I think we're at a pretty good stopping point for this one. Colors are pretty solid. I mean, as with any art piece, over the next few days, as this sits in my room, I might look at it and be like, I need to tweak this line by like a hair. Because, you know, art is never really done. You just keep picking at it until you're tired of it, and then you call it done because you're tired of messing with it. But thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Thank you, Ikamon, Asakura, and Addictive Alexis for chatting with me today. And I hope you guys like how this Natu came out. So this is the card that we drew, and this is the painting that we made from it. So I'm not sure when my next stream will be. Like I said, I'm trying to get back into regular streaming. I did apply to TwitchCon for their artist alley, but I don't know if I really qualify because I don't have like a high follower count or anything, but we'll see. I don't know. Can't hurt to apply. But in any case, I'll keep streaming on Twitch and YouTube and sharing content with you guys. And I'll try to do another stream in the middle of the week. I mean, it is a short work week for me, so technically I have a little bit more free time. So, maybe we'll aim for a stream in the middle of the week. We'll aim for Wednesday. But yeah, I'll try to update the schedule on here on Twitch. Because there's like a little panel where I can update the schedule if I can stream on Wednesday. And I'll try to remember to do an announcement on my Instagram account if I'm going to stream. Well, that's it for me for today. I gotta go work on some other stuff and do some adulting like grocery shop for the week so I don't starve. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.